Good morning. Thank God it's Friday, 11th of April 2025. My name is Winifred Ugabo, your host on the program. Today is Inside Nigeria, your professional leadership television. We normally look at what the papers are saying, that is, national papers, including Nigeria's most influential leadership. That's what we are going to be looking at this Friday. Newspaper review, including yours your darling newspaper, Leadership. Leadership Friday is Nigeria's Friday foremost newspaper, the first Friday newspaper in the country. And today's leading story says 2025 flooding, 1,249 communities face high risk. Federal government wants. Incidentally, most of the papers we have on our lineup also have it as their cover, as one of their cover stories. 2025 flooding, 1,249 communities face high risk. Federal government wants 2,187 others to experience moderate flood. 30 states marked red. We are on alert, prepared for emergencies coming from NEMA. Begin sensitization, stakeholder engagements. Leading story on Leadership Friday. And in Benue APC crisis, earlier the governor of the state says, I'm going nowhere. The story runs on page 2 of 4. On page 4 of Leadership. Benue APC crisis. Governor Alia says he's going nowhere. Relief as Dangote cuts petrol S depot price to 865 naira per litre. And at top, just beside the masthead of Leadership Friday, in 24 hours, Trump raises China tariffs to 145%. Donald Trump, the president of United States of America. In 24 hours, Trump raises China tariffs to 145%. There has been a counter trade war between the U.S., that is U.S. led by Donald Trump, and China. Romy Killings, Kano Deputy Governor, leads delegation to Edo, and it's not time for 2027 campaigns. ACF tells politicians. These are stories that run on page 6 and 25 of Leadership Friday. Romy Killings, Kano Deputy Governor, leads delegation to Edo, and ACF tells politicians it's not time for 2027 campaigns. With that, we move inside the paper to see some of the stories or some of the pages in today's offering. We move to our stand, the page 3, where we have unbridled crisis in political parties. Today's stand on Leadership Friday. Nigerians are beginning to lose count of the number of judgments by the Supreme Court regarding inter and intra-party wranglings among political parties. Ideally, in a democracy, the rule of law is considered an integral part of the system. But up to a point, especially when the judicial process becomes more of an albatross, stymieing the viability of the process that ought to enhance good governance. We move towards the conclusion of our stand, where we have, but it starts with a vibrant political party system, one that is disciplined and supreme. A system that does not bend to the wishes of the highest bidders or seek to serve the parochial interest of a few. We urge the judiciary to be consistent in its judgment on matters of parties. It must insulate itself from the desperate machinations of the politicians who, driven by blind and ruthless ambition, will stoop at nothing to get or consolidate power for selfish interest. If there's any time the judiciary has to be firm and conscientious, it is now. It cannot afford to be swayed by the antics of a desperate few. These are excerpts from today's stand on Leadership Friday, unbridled crisis in political parties. From page 3, we move to the back page today on Leadership, where we have conversation with Azu. Azu Sekwene is the editor-in-chief of Leadership Media Group. Today's conversation is on fake outrage and the making of the Uromi system. Fake outrage and the making of the Uromi system. In quote, he says, what happened to the Uromi system stands condemned, but sadly, the fake outrage by politicians obscures the history behind the tragedy. Of course, it's a must read on this conversation when you log in to the website of Leadership. However, just before we move away from Leadership, let's quickly go to Ghana Must Go. Ghana Must Go. Buhari says, former President Muhammadu Buhari says he left office with same physical assets I had before my presidency. And Ghana must go ask no additions in the other room. Is a question. New abusive one, and that's how you find answers to when you log into the website of Leadership Friday, www.leadership.ng. From leadership, we move to the next paper, similar headline, and that is Blueprint. Blueprint says 2025 flood forecast. Benue, Lagos, Rivers, Jigawa, FCT, 26 other states at high risk. Coastal states may experience rising sea level. Federal government to commence pilot insurance scheme for Kogi, Jigawa. And Hyperdeck awards 600 million naira contract for Muye flood control project. Riders to the leading story on flood forecast 2025. Benue, Lagos, Rivers, Jigawa, FCT, 26 other states at high risk. Cover story today on Blueprint newspaper. Alleged assassination plot. Akpabio petitions IG demands Natasha's prosecution. Senate President Godswill Akpabio has petitioned the Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun requesting an immediate investigation and prosecution of suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan over an alleged assassination plot accusation against him. In the petition dated April 3, 2025, and also copied to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi's son, Akpabio had described the allegation as a heinous lie and a calculated attempt to malign his reputation, incite unrest, and endanger his life. The controversy stems from comments made by Akpoti-Uduaghan during a homecoming event in Kogi State, April 1. Excerpts from that second leading story on Blueprint newspaper this Friday. Alleged assassination plot. Akpabio petitions IG demands Natasha's prosecution. Another leading story on Blueprint newspaper today. The Dangote refinery slashes petrol price to 865 naira per litre in a move aimed at offering further relief to the Nigerian consumers. The Dangote refinery has reduced the S-Depot gantry price of its premium motor spirits PMS from 880 naira to 865 naira per litre. That's a good one coming in from Dangote, who incidentally celebrated his birthday 2 days ago. Congratulations to the president of Dangote refinery, Alhaji Aliko Dangote. Still on Blueprint newspaper, Katsina Joint Security Force rescues 10 kidnapped victims, neutralizes bandits. Katsina Joint Security Force rescues 10 kidnapped victims, neutralizes bandits. Bandits kill 3, abduct many in Benue community. Trump's 14% tariff on Nigerian exports sparks economic fears. Northeast NAS caucus rejects exclusion from $530 million SAPZ project. And towards the masthead of Blueprint, JAMB vows to punish 180 candidates who paid 30,000 naira each to cheat. CBN's PMI rises to 51.4% in March 2025. And in sports, Unity Cup 2025. Brentford's GTech Community Stadium to host Nigeria, Jamaica, Ghana, and Trinidad battles. And above the masthead of Blueprint, Idris markets Tinubu's reforms in France, woos investors. That concludes review of front headline stories on Blueprint this Friday. For more, log into the website of Blueprint to read more stories, www.blueprint.ng. From Blueprint, we move over to the next paper and our lineup, and that is the Punch. Punch is talking cheaper petrol prices. It says marketers predict cheaper petrol nationwide as Dangote begins Naira sale. Marketers predict cheaper petrol nationwide as Dangote begins Naira sale. Refinery slashes loading cost to 865 naira after Naira for crude D, fuel depot prices to fall. PIMA force NBC ban on Idris Abdulkarim's anti-Tinubu song. The story is on page 29 of the Punch. PIMA force NBC ban on Idris Abdulkarim's anti-Tinubu song. Police recover 21 AK-47 rifles, rescue 17 kidnapped victims. PDP postpones North Central, South South, Southwest Congresses. Beside the masthead of the Punch, Lynch travelers, federal government, Edo race joint pro panel, Kano delegation arrives Benin. The story is on page 2 of the Punch, just like we have it in leadership. Lynch travelers, federal government, Edo race joint pro panel, Kano delegation arrives Benin. And atop the masthead of the Punch, federal government alerts 30 states rush to avert flood crisis. Federal character, controversy over Tinubu's appointments widens. Ambassadorial list ready for NAS review after DSS clearance. That concludes review of front headline stories today on the Punch newspaper. For more, don't forget to log into the website of the Punch newspaper. From the Punch, we move over to the next paper on our lineup today, and that is Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune is talking politics, and this time its focus is on PDP. It says growing disaffection in PDP puts party's future in doubt. Growing disaffection in PDP puts party's future in doubt. And the writers say May NEC meeting in limbo. May NEC meeting in limbo. National leadership unable to meet. Act postpones North Central, South South, Southwest Congresses. That was the story we had on the Punch newspaper. Postpones North Central, South South, Southwest Congresses. Kickers to the leading story today on Nigerian Tribune. Growing disaffection in PDP puts party's future in limbo. Still on Nigerian Tribune, Uromi killings, federal government, Edo government set up fact-finding committee. NRC suspends Warri Itakpe train service over multiple engine failures. Assassination allegation, Akpabio petitions AGF, IGP, demands Natasha's prosecution. Fubara's chief of staff slams 2 billion naira libel suit on Wike, former head of service. Afenifere honors Adebanjo with symposium. Obi Osuntokun, Bode George Ezekwesili, Igodalo, others in attendance. Lagos, Oyo, Delta, Ogun, 29 other states at high risk of flooding. Federal government warns. Lagos, Oyo, Delta, Ogun, 29 other states at high risk of flooding. Federal government warns. Attack on Plateau communities ploy to wipe out indigenous settlements. Move to WAG. Attack on Plateau communities ploy to wipe out indigenous settlements. Move to WAG, the governor of Plateau. And above the masthead of Nigerian Tribune, Dangote refinery slashes S-Depot petrol price to 865 naira. World Trade Organization warns tariff war could cut US-China trade by 80%, pull down world economy. The story is on page 6 of Nigerian Tribune. It's also on that note we conclude review of front headline stories on Nigerian Tribune this Friday. Don't forget to log into the website for more and continuation of those stories. We move to the Guardian newspaper, our last paper on our lineup this Friday. And the Guardian says Yakubu laments flawed democracies, hints of exit at ECOWAS Pali. Yakubu laments flawed democracies, hints of exit at ECOWAS Pali. The story is on page 6 of the Guardian. NEC finds 8 discos 628 million naira for overbilling customers. Dangote cuts petrol price to 865 naira as federal government backs naira for crude D. 2027 PDP governors meet, SDP rejects merger talks. Lagos, Rivers, 28 others to experience heavy flooding, federal government wants. Decision on worst delineation in Warri yet to be concluded, INEC clarifies. That brings to a close review of front headline stories this Friday, April 11, 2025. Don't forget to log into the website of The Guardian for continuation of these headline stories, www.blue.theguardian.ng. It's on that note to conclude today's newspaper review on Inside Nigeria, your breakfast show. My name is Winfred Ugbebo. Thank you so much for watching the program from Monday to Friday. Don't forget, next week, Monday, is another opportunity for a fresh edition of the program. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.